Today in the 5-minute saltwater aquarium guide, we show you how to heat a new reef tank confidently and avoid some pretty common mistakes. That's coming up. Hey, I'm Ryan, your host of BRStv and the 5-minute saltwater aquarium guide. This is a clear, simplified, and direct path to setting up a first successful reef tank. Today we're getting our heaters and temperature set up right in these two tanks. The most common goal and what we recommend is 78 degrees. Heaters have one of those unique positions in our hobby as one of the most inexpensive and easy to install components of the tank's life support, as well as the #1 cause of equipment-related tank failures. That conundrum is why it's important that we get this right, and today you're going to learn exactly what you need to know to avoid all of that and do this right. There are a dozen different heaters you could use. On a new tank in its first year, there really isn't going to be a huge performance difference between most of them, so feel free to go with whichever one you want. That said, we're using a 100-watt BRS heater system here for a few distinct reasons. The 100 watts is the right size for tanks up to 40 gallons. However, right at the edge, so if your room is cooler than the standard of around 70 degrees, you might want to consider the next size up. Second, we prefer titanium heating elements over plastic and glass just because titanium tends to be more robust and compact and last longer. In this case, a BRS heating element is manufactured by a German company, Chico, and I believe the best heating element in our industry. Third, this option has a remote controller which is calibratable, has adjustable on-off cycles, digital readout, a remote temp probe for increased accuracy, and not hardwired to the heater, so the controller and heater can be replaced independently. Fourth, this is one of the only options which has an audible alarm for most instances of failure. If a heater fails and gets stuck on or off, which will happen eventually, it's not the kind of thing you notice just by looking at the tank until it's too late. An audible alarm changes the game in a majority of cases. You'll be there to hear it when it happens or be there within hours. When you install the heater, make sure to put it somewhere where it will always stay submerged even when the pumps are off. They will burn out super fast outside the water and in some instances can be a fire hazard when operated outside of water. So in the 40-gallon breeder, we put it down as low as we could so it stays submerged during a standard 10% water change. With the E170, you put it in this compartment because the baffles create an area that stays submerged in virtually all instances. This is super critical. And then we plugged it into the E170's power center. To configure the controller, we turn it to Fahrenheit, set it to 78 degrees. The on-off cycle is 0.3 degrees. Optionally, you can calibrate it for optimal performance with a high-accuracy thermometer like the one we have from Hanna, but you can also take a reading from a couple lower-accuracy thermometers like something for food and average them to get close. Calibration isn't required, but it is beneficial for almost any heater. Now that the heater is installed properly, throughout this series there are a few information gems that dramatically change the success rates. I'm about to share one of them. Every electrical component on the tank is going to wear out or break at some point, and we need a plan. In many cases, heaters may turn on every minute or so for short periods to maintain temp, which means nearly 500,000 power ups and 500,000 powers down a year. That's a tough duty cycle on anything. The disappointing piece is when they do break, they're just as likely to fail in the on position as off. On and overheating is just a way bigger concern. In the first couple years, I believe the best and cheapest strategy to avoid all that is just replace the inexpensive gear before it breaks. I mean, if you're using a $30 heater, throw it out as part of annual maintenance and just replace it. Pick a date like January 1st and just do it. If you're using something like we did today, which uses a higher quality, long-lasting heating element coupled with an external controller, you can just keep the quality heating element, but replace the lower cost controller component because that's the part that wears out the fastest and the part that gets stuck on. Outside of that, there are 100 different ways that cat and mouse approach to heater failures, and as you dive deeper into reefing in your tank, you'll find new ways to use technology to catch and fix it the moment it happens. That said, this is a statement that nearly 100% of reefers will agree on. Replacing something before it breaks has a dramatically higher percentage path than most attempts at catching it the moment it breaks. Anytime it's affordable, pick the high percentage path. These tanks are now heated and the next step is answering how do we light them. Light is not just something for our eyes, it's a primary source of energy and nutrition for most corals. It's also one of the hardest things to get clear, direct guidance on, but we're going to give it to you straight. The entire saltwater aquarium guide is always available here, but if you want to leapfrog the lighting learning curve, it's all right here in episode 15.